So first, I'd like to thank my brother Adnan for putting this together, and I'd also like to thank my fellow American, Stephen. You know, Stephen said something earlier, or at least this was my interpretation of it. Success, well, it leaves clues. So if success leaves clues and it's all around us, then that means we can learn something from everybody. I will tell you, going into today's conversation, innovation in healthcare, this place called outer space, the closest I've been to space is by being with a 92-year-old astronaut by the name of Buzz Aldrin. And I was with him a couple days after his birthday. And it's interesting that Buzz, and he's a mentor of mine, he stopped at the moon. So when you think about that they went as far as they could. And now there are people in this room that will have heirs, that will have children, great-grandchildren, that will go to Mars, that will go to Venus, but it starts with the path. You know, Elon Musk said that we are at the dawn of a new era, and the state of space will rely on innovation and healthcare. And it's with that I'd like to bring up our panelists. Maurits, come on up. Ian and Carlo, come join me. All right, you guys ready?
Where you want us to sit?
So I'll have you right here, Maurits, and Ian, I'll have you in the middle, and then Carlo at the end. Now, I'm going to start with an easy one. So I like to dumb things down. As it was said earlier, I'm the head of crypto at Forbes Monaco. I also own a crypto education startup called Crypturns.com, a crypto career center. You know, putting together this panel was fascinating because I don't have the experience on this, but I do have the experience in living in my reality or living here. So let me ask you in the room, how many of you have ever had a boo-boo? Had to go to a doctor, a hospital, and ask advice, maybe pick up a prescription? So the first question for my panel, and first they're going to tell you, though, Reader's Digest of who they are, but the question that they're going to get into is life expectancy. You know, think about this. In the year 1900, and Stephen's shaking his head, in the year 1900, life expectancy, and Adnan's going to give you $1 million if you can answer this, so if everybody's paying attention. The average life expectancy in 1900, can anybody make a guess?
30-ish.
48. So think about that. In the year 1900, life expectancy was 48. Yet today, all of us have heard a rumor of somebody who's lived past the age of 80, or known somebody lived past the age of 90 or 100. And where we're headed, well, that's the question. So tell us your name, and then also talk about life expectancy of what you're doing and what you're a part of to help us. Well, you don't save a life, you merely extend it.
My name is Maurits from Rooijen, and I am a doctor, but not a medical one. I want to make sure that everybody gets that message. And I'm the Chief Academic Officer of something which is called Global University Systems. So I'm one of these odd people who are trying to do educational innovation. As Elon Musk said, educational innovation is more challenging than putting people on Mars. So I think I might join the camp with Adnan after this panel and do something a bit easy.
My name is Wynne. I'm the Director of Research at ProBiometrics. And if we're going to be living longer, which we all are, we need to live healthier, more productive, more sustainable lives, not just extend the pain that we live through. So our company is developing technology which can effortlessly monitor your health and enable people to put into place interventions and improve the lifestyle and well-being of those people who we love and care for.
Well said.
And I am Carlo Saverio Iorio. I am doing space research in the healthcare system. And in general, I just want to enter in the hot topic of life expectancy. If you allow me, what we are doing now is not moving the outlier. You know, it's true, the statistics that you said about the 48 years, It's in some way not giving even the amplitude of the problem, because of course even in the 19th century there was people ranging up to 80 years old. The point is that now we are moving the average towards 80-year-olds or even older. And if you want my opinion, thanks to the efforts in technology, so for example, we are more and more monitoring. Monitoring will help a better diagnostic. Diagnostic will help a better prevention. And so we can hope already to switch for our children and grandchildren to over the hundreds average.
So, Carlo, I got to ask you, and actually I'm asking on behalf of a friend, Stephen, front row, but immortality, you know, you have people working on innovation. I know that you're involved with the tech aspect of at least living forever in some capacity. And so what does that look like? I mean, is it possible to upload our brain? It's, again, Stephen, I'm sorry, I had to I have to ask him.
If I have to give my opinion, we don't have enough knowledge for the moment to really know where we can get, how far we can get. The only stuff that we can do is to try the best that we can by integrating knowledge that is raising, especially in the last 10 years. You know, I have seen even in the space, my field of adoption is space in the 25 years. So really there is thinkings that are thrilling around. You know, because 10 years ago there was a bit of artificial intelligence, a bit of monitoring, a bit of everything. But now what I can feel, because it's my field, is a convergence. And this convergence, I am sure, will bring good things. How good they will be is only for the...
So I love that response, because what it is saying, I don't know. But what we do know is there's something, yet today we think is impossible, can't be done. And yet I will tell you that Adnan pulled off something that I will tell you here in Dubai is impossible. That he brought together some of the, in my opinion, some of the most brilliant minds on the planet. To have them come together, that I refer to us as the learners, not the knowers. And so coming into learning, what I've learned is that all of those, in my early days of playing sports, not stretching, and now living in the world of having high blood pressure, that you start to have a little bit more empathy towards others. And you finally start to understand. And so talk about the monitoring side of things, Ian, because some of us in the room might have some medical condition, or our heirs or family or aunt will have something. How will we be monitoring this? So let's say I'm a diabetic, or I'm on a, I've got high blood pressure, or I'm a baby and I'm born with a birth defect for no fault of my own. What does the world of monitoring look like?
So we need to move towards a proactive version of monitoring rather than waiting until you have the condition. So the new technology that we have upstairs, people can come and see it live in action right now, is a simple smart sheet that you just lie on every single night when you go to bed. You don't even know it's there. It's underneath your normal bed sheets. You can be wearing your normal bed clothes, and every single night it's screening you, a high-resolution ECG, taking heart rate, respiration rate, potentially blood pressure, and a unique measure of vagal tone, which is essentially tapping into your human operating system. The autonomic nervous system is the part of your brain that runs all the organs. It controls everything that you're doing right now. As you're sitting here, you're breathing, you're regulating your body temperature. That's your autonomic nervous system, and our technology has a unique measure to calibrate that and quantify it. So imagine this, if there's a health authority that was capable and being visionary enough, as you mentioned before, to proactively screen the entire population every night, you can get ahead of problems. You don't have to be reactive to them.
So this won't be, you have to wait 3 days or 7 years to get something back? I mean,
not at all, no. I mean, the moment you're lying on this, you're getting high-class health data straight away. But we don't know when a condition's developing. You don't know if you've got diabetes until you start to have an issue.
So will this be through like Starlink? I mean, where do you see this going? And so let's say I go up to the space station, hang out with my buddy Steven and Adnan and a few others, and we need to get this data streamed to us. Will it bounce off satellites or, again,
it's all cloud-based, but it comes back to a personal app to you, potentially, or it can go straight to your doctor. It can be sort of alerting people straight away if there's a deviation from your norm. So let's say you're highly stressed at work and your scores are plummeting. You get an alert, take it easy today, do more exercise, get some time outside, and we can track the impact of the daily stress that you're putting yourself under. Because you can't avoid stress. The world is getting more and more stressful, and you shouldn't try and avoid it, but you should be better at calibrating yourself and recovering so you can deal with tomorrow's stress even better.
It's a great way of saying it. So now, Maurits. Now we're going to talk about moving over to sustainability, getting to know. So Gene Simmons, I don't know for those in the room, those that know who he is, he's part of KISS. He sent me a book recently, and it said, Me. Basically getting to know yourself, getting to know the people around you. And so as we build these communities, we have to first get to know who we are. So tell us, Maurits, who are we? And where do you see us going? And can we survive this next leap? Because if we can't get it right here, why are we so convinced we can get it right there?
Right. I knew this session wasn't going to be easy.
Here we go. I'm throwing it at you.
So who are we? Well, I don't even know who I am. So let alone give you a simple answer of who we are. But it is a fascinating discussion. We are talking about life expectancy. And I'm absolutely convinced that space and hospitals in space, but also more simple, already existing technology, the satellites and so on, and the data which are being taken from us and the way we can monitor ourselves all the time, are obviously going to extend our life. Right? At the same time, we also have to be careful what we wish for. So let's assume that we do find out that you can live twice as long at Mars than on Earth. Does that mean that we all immediately would want to take the next spaceship and go to Mars and live there? Or are we still a bit more focused on life, maybe shorter, but a high quality of life with family and enjoyment on Earth? And I think this is where you always have to be a bit careful that you don't get what you wish for. And that is, a longer life isn't necessarily the same as a better life. Right? And let's keep things a little bit simple here. We do want, life is the most precious thing we have. And if we get sick, we do want to have a cure. And if we can extend our life expectancy because we can replace some body parts, or we can be preventive and get early warning signals rather than when it's too late, absolutely fabulous. That's what we want. But the most important question is that when you close your eyes, you look back at a fulfilled life. And it's about the quality, not the quantity of it. And it's very simple to always bear that in mind, that we don't get carried away by technology. Sustainability is very much directly related to that quality of life. It is about not just health, it's about well-being, it is about the quality of the food, it is about not destroying the planet whilst you're actually living here. And any help we can get from space technology, satellites, monitoring through satellites and so on, is absolutely major progress for mankind.
So I'm going to dive into this then. I don't know, has anybody seen the new trailer for Top Gun 2? Or at least the first one? And when you see this, you think that these are high-performance people, because they are. Stephen, you're high performance. Adnan and a number of others as well. As we're now looking at outer space and the human condition, who we are, many people are looking at it and they're a bit intimidated. They think, well, I'm not that. It's too rough. It's too difficult. It's too hard. Do you see us making it easier? I mean, how adaptive, Maurits, from your side, how adaptive will we be? What would these communities look like? So take me out to Mars. you're building the Maurits cookbook to living on Mars. Like, what's this guide?
Absolutely. That's the beautiful thing of human beings, that not just our body, but especially our mind can cope sometimes with situations which are beyond imagination. So yes, I'm sure that if we set up a nice colony on Mars, it can be fun there as well. I'm not wanting to take anything away from that. But the question is the quality, right? The other question is, which we haven't addressed yet, but if I'm allowed to introduce that, is when we obviously want to talk about positive way about, healthcare and space. But the flip side is, of course, also a vulnerability. So here we are, let's say, following your advice, be carefully monitored, get early signals, etc. All the data from the individual, all the data from our communities, cities, and so on, all are being collected for our own good. But that also makes us even more vulnerable. And I'm say vulnerable for many, many levels. Right? Things can go wrong, but also things can be abused, misused for commercial reasons, for power reasons, etc. And I think this is something where we should not be naive. When we actually engage with this, we should be immediately, from moment one, be aware we need to mitigate the risks as well. We do not want to be controlled by our own data. They need to support us, but ultimately it needs still to be our decisions, what we do. And this is something which I think is something which now we are still at a relatively early stage of healthcare and space, that we immediately take on board risk mitigation. What can we do in order to make sure things do not go wrong, unintentionally go wrong?
And what I love about you, Moritz, when we talked off stage, is to be part of the solution. Don't just complain about it. If you want the future to be different, be part of creating it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now I'm going to jump into the future. Now, I don't know how many people here are going to plan to have an avatar in the metaverse or a spacesuit, but when we're talking about monitoring, you were helping, let's say you're working with NASA, and you're going to give them some guidance. What sort of monitoring should be built into these suits or into these domes? And then on the devices we wear, what will, from your lens, where do you see it going?
So we're already working with an all-women's Mars analog mission. We heard earlier about the analog missions and how important they are to simulate the human experience, because I'm not a rocket scientist, but they've solved most of the hardware, most of the getting there business, but we don't really know the human side of things. And the moment you put 2 or 3 people together, they have to communicate, they have to work together, they've got to balance their stress, their emotions. So the all-women's Mars analog missions that we'll be monitoring, we're taking biological signals before, during and after, looking at the emotional load, the stress load, and helping them develop communication patterns. You can develop the environment to actually enhance the performance of the astronauts rather than impede it. So by taking a high-resolution ECG from our technology, you just lie down. You imagine you go to a hospital at the moment, your patches all over you, wires all over you to a monitor, incredibly restrictive and gets in the way of natural behavior. From our technology, you just lie down on the sheet every night, and we're getting a live stream of ECG data coming straight through you. From that, we can determine your heart rate, your respiration rate, we can determine body temperature, and we have this unique measure of the human operating system called vagal tone. And that taps into your core emotional and your core physiological operating system. And from that, the specialties out there, the experts in all your industries will know how valuable that data is to be able to see the impact of what you're doing on the individuals. Because it's the baseline objective data that we'll be taking. And then you can change the environment and see, does it make your individuals more stressed or enhanced? Does it help their well-being? Does it help their health, or is it actually impeding it? So it gives you that really clear, objective data to make decisions, really good decisions, around your environment and how it's going to be sustainable and impact for them. But also to pick up on a point you made earlier about the adaptability of the human, the elite people, such as the astronauts themselves. I myself I'm a former Olympian, competed at 2 Olympics, but really they're no different. I'm just a human being, but we just get hyper specialized in a certain area. Everybody has that ability to be adaptable to their space, to their place, and operate at a much higher level than anybody appreciates. But you need that data, you need the environment to support it, and you need the technology to be able to help individuals make that step improvement over and over again.
Perfect. And then we're going to have one more question around, but my last real question for you, and again, I'm going to ask for my friend Stephen in the room. Amazon, will they rule outer space? And will there be competitors, or will they rule outer space?
You know, I don't know now how the market will evolve in the short period. What I can say that if it's, I mean, if we are discussing about having one mega company ruling, is already the failure of the model. So when we speak about healthcare, or like Maurits was saying, we have to bring humans, even Ian, in space. We don't want to bring, you know, some sort of technology prowess or superhumans. If space will become a reality, it's not dreaming only to go to Moon and Mars, it's an expansion of the humankind. So now the first frontier that we will have is the low Earth orbit. We should be realistic. Moon and Mars are like, you know, what we are targeting, but the first population will be possibly more on the low Earth orbit with space tourism, with in-orbit operation, because there will be more and more manufacturing in space. But the space, if it's exclusive, is not what we are looking for, not what we should look for. We should look for an enhancement of the mankind. So at one moment in time, we should not think that our Earth, so our soil will be ground, but will be the low Earth orbit. But this will be our Earth, including that. And then there will be even the moon.
I'm going to have to ask you off stage your stock picks, because I love what I'm hearing is that this world of innovation, it's forever changing, and you're part of the solution. So final question, because I believe in starting each day with a task completed.
Exactly.
What's the first task of the day for you?
My first task.
What's your first task in business? Like, what do you set up each day that you have to accomplish?
Yeah, so I think that in general, the first task, and this is maybe who is working in space, is to find a solution, a technological solution that is an enabling solution, the radiation protection materials. So I should say that I am a part of the science team of the Rashid rover on the moon. So first of all, thank you for accepting me as a research scientist on this rover and to test also my material. But this is, according to me, in absolute the enabling technology. Without these new materials, without these shieldings, it's impossible for the moment to think of long subsistence in a different planet in the outer space. So this is what I'm working on.
Beautiful. Your turn.
Well, let's keep it real. My first task of the day is getting my two daughters ready for school. Always family comes first, but then...
Family.
It's always the way. But then, because that connects us as humans, doesn't it? But then it is about the vision we have of our future healthcare and how can we have an impact. We're a small company, but we're developing rapidly groundbreaking technology, and how can we have an impact on changing, a step change in healthcare across the world?
And I'm going to switch it up because, again, you're the professor. What's the last task of the day?
I think the last task in the day is exactly the same as the first task in the day, and that is keep learning, getting yourself out of your comfort zone, sitting on a panel here as a non-medical doctor, not a specialist in space. That takes me out of my comfort zone, but that's also what gets me into innovation. Innovation, by definition, is about being taken out of comfort zone and learn. And that's the first thing you should do. Be open to learning, new ideas, be challenged, see the connections where you didn't know there were connections before. And then if I can add to that a wish, I would love to see a proper healthcare lab in space. There is so much we can learn about the human body and the human condition.
Does anybody have a contact there?
Well, but it is actually strange it hasn't happened yet. I mean, we can learn so much about ourselves, our body, by doing our research and our work in
What
space.
I'm doing.
That's what Carlo does. Okay, Carlo, but have
I mean, I told you,
do you
he's,
got your
kind
lap
of, he's
already?
kind of a big deal.
So get Carlo
Please
a lap.
join.
All right, well, I'm going to leave all of you with a quote by Admiral McRaven. It says to start each day with a task completed, to find someone to help you through life, to know that life is not fair and that you will fail often. But if you take risk and you step up when the times are toughest and you face down your bullies, and by the way, when you are changing the world, there's lots of bullies. Can't happen. Can't do it. It's impossible. If you do these things, then this generation and my children's generation and your grandkids' generation will live in a world, in a universe far better than the one that we inherited. And would have started here today with this panel, Innovation in Healthcare and Space, would have changed the world for the better. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Thank you, panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well done. Thank you.